So let's go to the Dodge official Instagram and take a look at some of the 315,000 people who wrote comments about the upcoming Dodge electric or electrified muscle car. Uh-oh. First one that says, that's me right there. It says huge letdown. Next person, love it. Maestro, all the boomers and Trumpies crying right now. Hey, electric is faster. Just because you guys killed the fucking earth, really? Just because you guys killed the earth doesn't mean the rest of us who have 20 more than 20 years left to live should suffer. The small engine packing dudes who need a V8 to compensate will have to find something else to entice the women. Man, there's a lot to unpack there, but let me just suffice to say like this. First of all, the Earth has been around for 4.5 billion years. The entire planet used to be molten lava and magma. The entire planet. It cooled down over like the next 2 billion years. Because I don't know if you know, there's this stuff called uranium, and it has a very long half-life, and when it cools down, it turns to lead and whatnot. So there was no life on Earth for the first 3 billion years. And for the most part, we didn't destroy the Earth. It's we're just here, and we're just part of the entire Earth recycling system. They call it plate tectonics. Everything you see outside, from the buildings to the houses to everything that's on the continents, all of that's eventually going to be pushed under the earth, and it's going to be melted again. It's called plate tectonics. You might want to look it up. As for global warming, while I do believe that the atmosphere is warming and everything possibly because of greenhouse gas emissions by humans, the reality is the earth has actually gone through this cycle over and over and over. They have global warming cycles and global cooling cycles. The energy that's on the earth that's not coming from the radioactive minerals inside the earth is coming from the sun. And the sun is sending energy here whether you use it or not. So the earth gets about 1/1 billionth of all of the energy produced by the sun, because you do realize the sun is a gigantic fusion generator for the most part. And we really haven't destroyed the earth, because you know what? When the sun runs out of fuel within another 4.5 billion years, the earth is going to freeze over, and everything on it is going to die and be frozen. Everything. In fact, at a certain point, the earth is going to be roasted by the sun, because the sun is going to enter what's called a red giant phase. And when that happens, the sun is going to expand until Mercury is burnt to a crisp, and so is Venus, and so is Earth. So when you say we've destroyed the Earth, I kind of have to disagree with you. Okay, let's keep going. So naturally, the first person who made a comment against him says that you must be a rainbow. We know what that means, but I'm not going to say it because of YouTube's AI censor. But when you call somebody a rainbow, you pretty much know what that means. Okay, so this person right here, I'm pushing the dislike button. This person right here, bring back the V8s. No one likes electric, okay? Men will buy it and put a V8 in it. I don't. Now, see, a lot of people were saying that they would buy this car and put a V8 in it. I don't think that's possible, because now granted, yeah, you can just take a platform, you can gut the entire thing, and you can put a different engine on it. But I really don't believe that that's going to be easy with this car. Now, I will say this. What Dodge should have done, or maybe if they were smart, what they could do, is they could make these platforms and make it possible that somebody who had enough money, and we're talking way over $200,000, it would be possible for somebody to buy a Hurricane crate engine or a Demon 170s Elephant crate engine, and then gut this car out and then just easily be able to swap that engine in. And I'm fairly certain someone's going to try to do it. But you just understand that's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, like way in excess of $250,000. If you were going to do all that, you might as well just try to buy a Demon or a Demon 170. It doesn't make sense to do any of this. It really doesn't. Okay, yeah, so men will buy and put a V8 engine. These comments are definitely not what Dodge was expecting. It's almost as if the consumers want a gas engine, okay? They're going to make a version with a gas engine. Jesus Christ, people. Okay. Bring back the fuel-powered engines. No one likes EVs, and you can clearly see that. Okay. Dislike button. Okay. Put an ICE V8 in it. Make a new engine family to meet emissions. We don't want EVs, and the Hurricane 6 is still unproven. Okay, so this is the Godfather reference. Look at how they massacred my boy. Okay, yeah, that 3,589 likes, yeah. Okay, so I'm not going to repeat this right here. Yeah. That honestly looks terrible. Words cannot describe just how genuinely heartbreaking this post is. Okay? Who seriously thought this was a good idea after their great history with V8s? Where is your brutal design, Dodge? Dodge should be embarrassed by this. Can we swap the V8 into that SpongeBob? Okay. Yeah, Hellcats, yeah. No, God, please, no. It's so beautiful, only if they put an engine in it. Okay, another Hellcat or RT plus. Okay, crying, yes. Crying. Dislike Hellcat motor or Magnuson supercharger, I should say. Hellcats and RTs, yes. That's hideous. Another Hellcat. Okay. Matthew McConaughey and Interstellar crying. Okay. SRT car from the NY International Auto Show. Okay. SpongeBob Boo meme. This guy's crying. This guy's crying. How can y'all not realize we don't want this? Gonna be a huge flop. Just wait on it. Okay. This looks like Homelander. And he's watching and he's just very upset. Okay. Crying. Dodge. It's terrible. I swear to God. Okay. Hellcats. RT pluses. Okay. I guess that means just. I'm just confused on how you go from muscle to electric. Like, that makes sense. Okay. As much as I wish it wasn't so, if Dodge wants a chance to survive, it has no choice but to go electric. As different and unfulfilling as it is, the alternative to electric is millions washed away from flooding every year. Even more expensive meat and produce. Oh, God, he's making global warming references. And busted AC units every July like clockwork. Okay. People saying it's electric don't do their own research. They're just putting a 3.0 twin-turbo i6 in it. Electric is just another engine option. Let me build one. Nobody buying an electric Dodge. Stop it. Nah, ain't no way they be releasing that. I can't like this post. Disgraceful. Stellantis ruined everything. OC Motivator had a comment. He said that these people are Europeans. They hate American cars. And if you really think about it, it makes sense. Gasoline over in Europe, especially when you had Russia invade Ukraine and you had the price of gas skyrocket, gasoline over in Europe is extremely expensive. The majority of the cars that are over in Europe are diesel. In America, the majority of the cars are gasoline while the trucks are diesel. Now, obviously, diesel has some benefits. Diesel generates a lot of torque at low end. And if you add a turbocharger, you can spread that torque over the rev band. Gasoline, however, is more efficient for cars, and it also produces less nitrous oxide, less pollutants into the atmosphere. Electric, assuming your energy source is clean, which right now it's not, since we use a lot of fossil fuels to produce electricity. Electric can be clean with solar and with nuclear specifically. But the reality is, these Europeans, they don't like American cars. They talk bad on American cars every chance they get. And it's very possible that these people at Stellantis, which is a Dutch company for one, it's very possible that these people want to end and destroy Dodge. You know, they started, not Stellantis, but the Italians, when Sergio Marconi took over, they started by getting rid of the Magnum. And they continued to push all this Italian little-ass car bullshit on us that we didn't want. Fiats, Alfa Romeos, Maseratis. Maseratis are horrible cars to own. At a certain point, I remember they wanted like $90,000 for a Ghibli. Those cars don't sell well here. But the reality is they were pushing that stuff on us, and we didn't want it. And we just let that shit sit and rot. If you go to any of these Fiat dealerships, if you go to any of these Alfa Romeo dealerships, those cars are sitting there. The only thing that moves those cars is lease aggressiveness. If they say, oh, yeah, well, if you give us, I don't know, $2,000 down, we'll give you this Alfa Romeo Stelvio, and it'll be like $399 a month. It's like, you know, nobody really wants their shit. That's why, I swear to God, if you go to any of the dealers, like if I go to any of these dealerships, Alfa Romeo or Fiat, like those dealerships are flooded with brand new cars that they can't sell. They just can't sell them. So anyway, and I'll say again, the young generation, the millennials, they're going after these Teslas. They're getting these Tesla Model 3s and Tesla Model Ys, specifically the Tesla Model Y. So, you know, it's just not working. But anyway, in this, Dodge, real fans are not liking it. Ew. Bring back the V8. This will be the worst upgrade. Watch the Hellcats and whatnot start being produced again in 2025, as these don't sell or work properly. This guy's crying. Ain't no one gonna be stealing that. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get one. I've been all electric for almost 3 years. Best decision I ever made. I go home and plug it in just like my phone. Just wait. Your batteries are going to die in a couple of years. Well, okay, I got to read it the way he wrote it. Just wait for your batteries to die in another couple of years, and you see the $20,000 replacement bill. It's heavily documented that electric cars only last 5 years. Now, keep in mind, I just bought a Cadillac Lyriq 2024, and I leased it. So I'm not worried at all about two things. Number one, I'm not worried about the battery. And number two, I'm not worried about the white interior I have. This is the first time, as you've seen, this is the first time I've bought a white interior. The closest I came was in my 2006 Chrysler 300. I had a gray interior. But in my 2006 SRT, I had a black interior. And in my 2012 SRT, I had a black interior. In my Dodge Charger Hellcat, I had a black interior. In my Jeep SRT, I have a black interior. So this is the first white interior I ever had. Now, I expect that over time, it's going to get dingy. But guess what? It ain't my problem when the car goes back. And if by chance I like the car and I don't have any problems with it, you know, I don't know. I might trade up for an Escalade. I really don't know. But see, the beautiful thing is I'm not locked in. Like, after I have my fun with that car, I'm not forced to keep it. Because, you know, first of all, this technology advances really, really quickly. Computers double and triple in speed and power with, like, every single year. Right now, you got AI computers coming to the market. It's obvious that AI computers are going to take these cars over within the next 5-6 years. So, no, I don't want to be locked into these vehicles. And I do understand when people are talking down about electric cars, but I have to say, I love my car, my Lyriq, I love it. It's very comfortable. It's very luxurious, and I'm having fun with it. It is what it is. But I'm not worried about no battery costs because the thing about it is under these lease terms, the battery's totally covered, so I'm not worried about it. All right, so anyway, looks like a Hyundai, low key. What in the AI generated is this? Okay, that's me again, huge letdown. I can't like my own post because that's cringy. All the boomers. Oh wait, did I just repeat? Oh, that's weird. I guess it just repeated itself. Well, okay, so I guess that's that. You get the picture. People seem to be not completely happy with this. I believe this is a production spec prototype. But you know what's weird? All of the lines and all of the aggressiveness is gone from this model. Now, I saw and I videotaped the Banshee SRT concept at the New York International Auto Show, and my video is still there. And in person, I mean, it looked shiny and flashy and everything. It's just that this is probably the lowest end version of the car. But I think personally, I think the reason why people aren't going to like this car and don't like this car is because they pretty much know that they can't work on it. Like, for example, you see the way this hood is designed? That hood is designed for max airflow and aerodynamicness, right? You're not getting a hood scoop on one of these cars. You can't put that on this car because that would totally screw up the aerodynamicness. Furthermore, because the engine or the electric model motors or whatever, because those things don't require air in the same way to flow through them, you're not going to be putting like a Hellcat hood or a Demon hood. You're not going to be putting that on one of these cars. I think that's what pisses people off the most about these cars. It's like they can't modify them to be personalized. On top of that, if you change the wheels, like if you get those ugly ass Lexani wheels, or you get those the Giovanni, Alexa, whatever they are, if you get those wheels, like you try to put 26s or some shit on one of these cars or 24s, you're going to run into serious problems with the system in the car. And yes, they absolutely will deny your warranty if you've put tires and wheels on these cars that they consider to be detrimental to the warranty. I know somebody who bought a Scat Pack and they upgraded the wheels. And by doing that, they ended up having a transmission problem. Now, whether or not putting these bigger wheels and these wider tires, whether or not that actually caused the transmission problem, I'll never know. But what I do know is that the warranty company denied the warranty based solely on that. Now, with my Jeep SRT, with my Chrysler 300s, with my Dodge Charger Hellcat, I would never have upgraded the wheels and tires. I wanted it to be exactly what it was when I bought it. Now, the downside to that was because those cars were rear-wheel drive, with the exception of the Jeep, because those cars were rear-wheel drive, the problem was that they didn't have enough traction. So, yeah, you can get more traction by making wider wheels and wider tires, but then you run the risk of voiding your warranty. So, I think a lot of people don't like the fact that with these EVs, it's very difficult to modify these things. It's very, like, there's very few things you can modify. You can tint the windows. Yeah, that's not a problem. But when you start talking about changing the body panels and you start talking about, like, skirt kits and all that stuff, the car's not designed for that, and it's only going to cause problems. And again, the warranty company may not warranty it or cover it. So yeah, those are the pictures. I mean, some people have been saying this must probably be the SXT version of the car because there's no badges on it and it doesn't look exciting and this, that, and other. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, it doesn't really grab me. it's basically like those old generated docs. Like I remember when people would take these photoshops and they would make a Charger into a 2-door rather than a 4-door. That's what it really looks like to me. It looks like it's just like it just looks like, it looks like those old generated images that I used to see, years ago. Now, the real question is, where's the 4-door version? Because the two-door version tends to be their cheapest version, and it also tends to be their best selling when you look at the Challenger versus the Charger. The Challenger outsold the Charger by far. The Challenger also was outselling the Chrysler 300, and the Challenger was obviously outselling the Magnum. I always believed that they made a huge mistake by not keeping the Magnum around, because just as they had gotten rid of the Magnum, you got to remember, they did that around 2008, 2009 because of the bailout era. I think getting rid of the Magnum was a stupid idea. They had the perfect opportunity to have four cars that use the Pentastar V6, the Hemi 5.7, the 6.4 Hemi, and the Hellcat. They had four cars where all of the parts were interchangeable for the most part. Or like the transmission, the engine. They never gave the Magnum the 8-speed torque flight transmission. They never gave the Magnum the Hellcat engine. They never gave the Magnum the 6.4. They never gave the Magnum the Uconnect touch and all that. Like, they had four cars. Think about that. They had four cars that by now they could have had four cars that they were selling as a muscle car family. Now, I'll give them credit. The TRX turned out better than I expected. The Jeep Trackhawk, to me, was not as exciting as I had expected. The Dodge Durango Hellcat turned out pretty much what I expected. So the Trackhawk was underwhelming, the TRX was above average, and the Dodge Durango Hellcat, I feel, was right exactly, pretty much what I expected. But they would have had, think about this, they would have had 7 vehicles: the Magnum, the Challenger, the Charger, the 300, the TRX, and the Durango Hellcat, and the Trackhawk. I wouldn't have called it the Trackhawk. I would have called it the Jeep Hellcat. They would have had all of that family of car using the same engine, the same transmission, and a lot of the same parts. So your costs would have been low because, with the exception of the body panels, the cars would have basically been the same thing from car to car to car, with the exception of the TRX, obviously. But your costs are paid for. Your costs are low because the Hemi engine it was paid for a long time ago. That car is like the technology was ancient with the exception of the transmission. All of that shit was obsolete, ancient stuff. But it was all paid for and people wanted it. You would have had the Magnum, the Challenger, the Charger, the 300, the TRX, the Jeep Hellcat, and the Durango Hellcat. That would have been 7 cars. All of them riding the same parts for the most part. But they just didn't do it. They just didn't do it. So now this is where you are. I'm underwhelmed. I will try to withhold judgment until I can actually drive this thing. Because I'm fairly certain that my Dodge dealer, when they get one in, they'll let me test drive it or whatever. Or when they get a couple in or they have a demo, they'll let me test drive it. They'll let me see it and everything. I'll try to withhold judgment. I will try, because you know what they say, you can't judge a book by its cover. I'll try to withhold judgment, but it's obvious that the audience for this vehicle, it's obvious that they're not happy. And I will say this, the vast majority of people who I know who have Hellcats, who have Chargers, Challengers of whatever spec, the vast majority of them I know do not have a house. They do not have, like me, where I can just get up and go outside and plug this shit into my house and it's charging. Most of them don't have their own charging infrastructure. The vast majority of these people I know, they have apartments and they park outside. Now, there's a lot of people who do have houses. There's a lot of them who don't have garages. And there's a lot of them who don't have the charging infrastructure. So that right there, that's going to cost you an extra $2,000 between the equipment and the installation. That's going to cost you like an extra $2,000. And, anybody who buys a car like this, $2,000 more shouldn't be that big of a problem. But most of them, they don't seem too anxious to have to sit at a charger and wait for the vehicle to charge. Now, keep in mind, when I charge my car, I come home from work. If I need to charge the car, I just plug it in. I go inside, have dinner, relax, get in my bed. By the time I'm closing my eyes to sleep, the car is fully charged to 100%. Most of these people, they don't have that kind of infrastructure. And a lot of them just don't really, they're just not that interested. And they're not interested in charging. And I've driven by a lot of superchargers and I've looked at the people while they're charging. It's snowing outside, it's raining outside. They have to sit there for 30 minutes at least. At the Tesla superchargers, that's a 30-minute charge. At the other fast chargers, which I'm going to test out an EVgo fast charger very soon, probably in one of my next videos. Because when I bought my Cadillac Lyric, I got 2 years free charging at the EVgo chargers. I also recently signed up for the EVgo system, waiting for my card to get here in the mail for the free charging. I'm going to test out the EVgo charger, and maybe sooner or later I'll test out an Electrify America charger if I see that they have a fast charger somewhere. But the reality is, I haven't seen the enthusiasm for these cars. I just haven't seen it. So time will tell. Time will tell. There's a very good possibility that, what are those people? Stellantis, they may be planning within 5 or 10 years possibly to cut Dodge off. Because keep in mind, if you really look at Chrysler's been passed around like a cheap hooker. I remember, what was it? It was Daimler Chrysler at one point. And then after that, it became, Cerberus after the bailout era or during it. Then it became FCA. Then it's Stellantis now. And I owned stock. I owned stock in FCA. And as Stellantis took it over, the stock got changed to Stellantis. So I'm making a dividend on that. And actually, we're always in the green because I bought it like way back when it was FCA. So I'm always in the green on the stock. And I'm making dividends on my stock. But the way it looks to me, Jeep and Ram look like those things are going to last a lot longer than Dodge is going to last. But again, I'm going to try to withhold judgment till I drive it. And hopefully, maybe it'll turn me around. Maybe I'll drive it. I'll be like, holy shit, this is amazing. This is the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know. But we'll see what happens in the future. I just don't know right now. Yeah, so that's my V-Box right there, doing its charge. So it's been on for 2 hours and 8 minutes, and it's done 19 kilowatts, which is basically like 1/4 the battery on this thing. So, yeah, there you go. Great setup.
To be continued.